The sky above Earth was suddenly pierced by a roar. It wasn't thunder, nor was it any storm the world had ever witnessed. The roar was something far more terrifying. Above every major city on Earth, a dark shadow stretched across the horizon. At first, it seemed like an unusual cloud formation, but the realization soon hit. These were no clouds, no natural phenomenon. The world watched in silent horror as dozens of enormous ships appeared, hovering like massive, ominous gargoyles above the planet. They were unlike anything humanity had ever seen, sleek, metallic, and shaped like jagged, angular spikes, their hulls reflecting the light in an eerie, unnatural glow. The ships were the size of entire cities, their sheer presence blocking out the sun. No aircraft, no missile, no weapon humanity had ever created could even begin to reach them. These were not visitors of peace. These were conquerors. Panic swept across the world in seconds. In New York, the streets were flooded with people looking up, mouths agape, eyes wide with terror. In Beijing, sirens blared across the city, echoing through the empty streets as people scrambled to find shelter. In Moscow, government officials rushed to underground bunkers, their minds racing with one thought: how could they stop this? Then, a cold, metallic voice echoed in every language. It wasn't a message sent through traditional means. It bypassed radio waves, television, even the internet. It was everywhere. It was inescapable. We are the HFY. Your planet's resources will soon be ours. Surrender now, and you will be spared. Resist, and your extinction will be swift and certain. The voice was calm, devoid of emotion, as if the speaker knew they had already won. The HFY didn't need to threaten. They simply stated facts. Earth, with its primitive technology and scattered defenses, had no hope of standing against them. This was not a warning. It was a declaration of their victory. The invaders made it clear that they didn't view Earth as a place worthy of conquest, but as an insignificant planet ripe for plundering. The world's response was fractured, chaotic. In Washington, the president sat at the helm of a war room, flanked by generals and advisors who all knew the same grim truth. We have no defenses capable of taking down even one of those ships, one general said flatly, staring at the live feed showing the alien ships hanging above the Earth. The president's hand trembled as she picked up the phone to speak with the heads of other nations, but even as she dialed, she felt a gnawing sense of dread settle in her gut. The HFY had already calculated their victory. This wasn't a battle. It was an execution. Meanwhile, across the globe, ordinary people huddled in their homes, in shelters, in offices, all glued to screens, watching as the alien ships loomed over them like dark, silent gods. Some prayed. Others wept. Some tried to find comfort in their loved ones, fearing they might never see another sunrise. But amidst the terror, something else began to stir. A spark of defiance. It was small at first, a whisper in the dark corners of the world. People whispered in hushed tones, "We won't give up without a fight." And just as quickly as the HFY arrived, a quiet realization began to spread. Earth might be down, but it wasn't out. The first days after the alien fleet's arrival were marked by panic, confusion, and a sense of helplessness that swept across the globe. Governments crumbled under the weight of their own uncertainty. World leaders issued public statements filled with assurances that Earth would stand united. But privately, the situation seemed hopeless. The alien ships had no visible weapons, no clear agenda, yet they hovered above major cities, a chilling reminder that their sheer presence was a declaration of supremacy. But amid the global despair, something remarkable was happening. There were no grand speeches, no iconic heroes, just ordinary men and women, bound together by an unyielding instinct: survival. In underground bunkers, small groups of military strategists and scientists began to work together in secrecy. They sifted through Earth's vast archives, scouring old military blueprints, obscure research papers, and forgotten journals for something, anything, that could offer them a chance. Every technological breakthrough, every experimental weapon, was revisited. The world's finest minds, once separated by borders and competition, now found themselves linked by a common goal. Among them was Dr. Naomi Clark, an astrophysicist who had spent her career studying near-space phenomena, and Captain Marcus Rice, a former special operations officer with extensive knowledge of unconventional warfare. They were joined by brilliant engineers, computer hackers, and a network of resourceful military commanders from all corners of the world. The question that kept them awake at night was not whether humanity would survive, it was how. As the days passed, the first breakthrough came from an unexpected quarter. In a forgotten, top-secret facility in the Nevada desert, researchers uncovered blueprints for a long-dormant weapons system, a prototype energy weapon developed decades ago, abandoned due to its instability. Dr. Clark and her team immediately set to work modifying it, using knowledge gained from intercepted alien transmissions and analyzing the Tylari technology. They noticed subtle patterns, flashes of energy, interference that could be harnessed. The aliens had left hints, unwittingly opening doors to Earth's salvation. While the scientists worked, elsewhere, resistance groups began to form. Ordinary citizens in cities across the globe were setting up communication networks, finding new ways to counter alien surveillance and disrupt their signals. Underground hackers, once considered troublemakers, were now national heroes, providing the necessary digital warfare to outmaneuver the alien systems. They used the Internet's vast infrastructure to their advantage, cloaking their movements and communicating in ways the invaders couldn't predict. Humanity's creativity had always been its greatest strength, and now it was showing its true power. The world's militaries, too, were not idle. With alien forces still hovering above, nations pulled their resources together for a single purpose: defend Earth. They worked tirelessly to reverse engineer captured alien tech, gaining a deeper understanding of the alien weapons that could be adapted to human use. Meanwhile, traditional military forces began training new soldiers, instilling in them a sense of urgency, pride, and desperation. They had no time for doubt. Earth's survival depended on them. By the end of the second week, the first significant sign of progress came when humanity managed to launch a successful small-scale attack. A covert mission, led by Reyes and a team of special operatives, struck one of the alien ship's outer defenses, managing to damage it with a combination of alien weaponry and newly constructed human tech. The alien ship, surprised by the audacity of the strike, retaliated quickly. But what they hadn't anticipated was the level of coordination and ingenuity humanity had suddenly unleashed. Across the world, news spread like wildfire. Humanity wasn't just sitting idly by, it was fighting back. In the quietest of places, in the most hidden corners of the Earth, a profound shift began to take place. The message was clear: humanity would not go down without a fight. And so, the first spark of resistance ignited. It was small, perhaps insignificant in the eyes of the alien invaders, but it was enough to light a fire that would soon spread across the globe. Earth's people, who had once felt powerless under the shadow of the Tylari, were now discovering their greatest weapon: their will to survive. As the days turned into weeks, humanity's defiance became more than just a series of desperate strikes. There was an undeniable shift in the air, an awakening, fueled not just by fear, but by the realization that Earth had more to offer than anyone could have imagined. The alien fleet, while seemingly omnipotent, had underestimated the depth of Earth's potential. The more they studied their surroundings, the more they began to notice anomalies, small hints, forgotten relics, and mysterious patterns that had long been overlooked. Dr. Naomi Clark, alongside her team, made a startling discovery while analyzing the energy signatures of the alien ships. A strange frequency was leaking from one of their vessels. After days of careful monitoring, it became clear that the Tylari had used an energy field to shield themselves from detection by Earth's most advanced satellites. It was a shield meant to mask their presence and movements, a strategy born of their arrogance in thinking that Earth's primitive defenses couldn't reach them. However, in their attempt to hide, they had inadvertently given humanity a glimpse of their own weakness. Dr. Clark's breakthrough wasn't just about understanding the aliens' technology. It was a window into Earth's own past. Deep in the archives of old military bunkers, the team unearthed more than just old weapons and tools. They found blueprints, journals, and records of forgotten technologies developed during the Cold War and the height of Earth's arms race, some of which had been abandoned or lost to time. Among these records were the designs for powerful energy weapons that, though incomplete, were eerily similar to the technology the aliens used. Meanwhile, in the vast wildernesses and remote regions of Earth, other hidden secrets were coming to light. There were ancient ruins scattered across the globe, underground bunkers, temples, and caves that had been sealed off for centuries. Inside these forgotten places, humanity began to uncover strange artifacts, devices, and inscriptions that hinted at Earth's deep connections to extraterrestrial civilizations. Some of these technologies were eerily advanced, suggesting that the planet had once been part of a far-reaching intergalactic network. Was it possible that humanity had been left behind on purpose, its potential forgotten by the very beings who had once interacted with them? In the Amazon rainforest, a team of archaeologists stumbled upon the remnants of an ancient structure hidden beneath the dense canopy. The walls were adorned with cryptic symbols, but the most significant discovery was a massive dormant power core buried deep beneath the ruins. It was unlike anything known to Earth, its energy pulse far more potent than any technology humanity had ever seen. Scientists and engineers worked feverishly to reverse engineer the power source, realizing that it held the key to harnessing Earth's lost potential. Across the globe, other discoveries began to emerge. In Siberia, scientists uncovered a vast network of underground tunnels and military facilities built during the Soviet era, housing prototypes for vehicles and weapons far more advanced than anything in current use. In the deserts of Nevada, forgotten research projects from the U.S. military revealed plans for experimental aircraft and advanced propulsion systems, designs that, when modified, could be adapted to face the alien invaders. As humanity unlocked more of these ancient technologies, there was an undeniable shift in momentum. The HFY, still blissfully unaware of the full scale of humanity's newfound resources, dismissed these discoveries as insignificant, as they were unable to detect them through their advanced surveillance systems. Earth's hidden potential was like a dormant volcano, slowly rumbling to life. It wasn't just the technology that was being awakened, it was the spirit of innovation and resourcefulness that had always defined humanity. Ordinary people, driven by the desire to protect their home, had begun building their own makeshift weapons, adapting alien tech with the tools at hand. Across the globe, rebel factions, military units, and underground resistance cells began coordinating their attacks, each one bolder and more precise than the last. Humanity was no longer simply surviving, it was adapting. In secret labs and military bases, engineers began crafting prototypes of weapons that could damage the alien fleet. Early tests proved successful. Laser weapons that could disable the outer layers of alien ships, EMP devices that could disrupt their communication systems, and energy shields that mimicked the ones that HFY had used for their own protection. Each success, however small, was a message, a reminder that Earth had not only hidden power, but a will to fight that no alien invader could foresee. And so, as the alien fleet hovered above, certain of their inevitable conquest, they failed to notice the quiet revolution unfolding below them. Earth, with all its forgotten strength, was preparing for a reckoning. The alien invaders, still floating ominously above Earth's major cities, had begun to believe that humanity was a broken species. Their arrogance had grown, their confidence unshakable. The alien fleets had begun to form a tight blockade around Earth, preventing any attempts at escape or outside communication. The HFY believed they had no need to hurry. Earth's defense capabilities were laughable at best, and their inevitable conquest was merely a matter of time. But as days turned into weeks, the once quiet resistance began to hum with a new energy. A global alliance of scientists, engineers, military leaders, and civilians had worked tirelessly, adapting alien technologies and uncovering humanity's forgotten past. Humanity was not broken. It was adapting, evolving, and preparing for a fight that Tylari had not expected. And now, it was time to strike back. Captain Marcus Reyes, a former special operations officer now leading a multinational strike force, stood in a dimly lit control room, his face grim but determined. On the screen in front of him, a map of the alien fleet's positions hovered, the red dots marking their ships' locations. The plan was set, a daring, high-risk mission to strike one of the Xylari's key command ships. The humans knew they couldn't win by sheer force alone, but they had one advantage the aliens couldn't comprehend: unpredictability. The mission was a covert one, a blend of precision tactics and guerrilla warfare. Reyes had assembled a small but elite team: soldiers, scientists, and hackers who had all contributed to the development of the new weapons and technologies humanity had unearthed. This was their moment, the first real opportunity to strike a blow that could turn the tide of the war. As they prepared to launch, the team was briefed one last time. "This is a one-shot deal," Reyes told them, his voice steady but filled with the weight of the responsibility. "We hit hard, we hit fast, and we do not stop until the job is done. We are showing the Xylari that they made a mistake underestimating us. Humanity will fight." The strike force deployed under the cover of darkness, utilizing stealth technology to avoid detection by the alien fleet. The plan was simple: infiltrate a key alien ship using newly developed energy weapons to breach its outer shields and take control of its communication systems. If they could accomplish this, they would not only deliver a major blow to the Xylari's command, but also send a message that Earth was not a planet to be trifled with. When the team reached the alien vessel's outer perimeter, everything went according to plan. They disabled a series of sentry drones using modified EMP devices, which caused a brief gap in the ship's surveillance. Reyes's team then stormed the command ship's docking bay, using newly developed laser weapons that were capable of slicing through the alien ship's armor like butter. The hull shook as the laser fire penetrated, leaving molten scars on the vessel's exterior. The team moved quickly, breaking into the alien ship's communication hub. Reyes, along with Dr. Clark, worked together to interface with the aliens' control systems. It wasn't easy. Alien technology was complex and, at times, incomprehensible, but Clark's deep understanding of the alien tech gave them an edge. Slowly but surely, they began to hijack the communication channels. Just as the team was about to upload their command override codes, alarms blared throughout the ship. The Xylari had detected the intrusion and were preparing to retaliate. Time was running out. With seconds to spare, the team successfully transmitted a message back to Earth. "We are here. We will fight." Before the Xylari could counteract the interference, Reyes and his team detonated a series of explosive charges, which crippled the alien ship's engines and sent it into a slow, spiraling descent toward the planet. As the ship careened toward Earth's atmosphere, the Tylari fleet scrambled to respond, but it was too late. Humanity had struck its first blow. Back on Earth, the news of the success spread like wildfire. For the first time since the Tylari invasion, the world felt a spark of hope. The alien invaders, once confident in their superiority, were now realizing that humanity wasn't helpless. Earth's people had the courage, ingenuity, and resolve to fight back. Though it was only the beginning, the first strike was a symbol, proof that Earth could resist, and that the fight for survival was far from over. The victory over the alien command ship sent ripples of shock and disbelief through the Tylari fleet. They had underestimated humanity's resolve, and the first blow, however small, was a clear signal. Earth was not the helpless backwater they thought it to be. Yet, the Xylari, far from retreating, redoubled their efforts. The alien forces, now fully aware of humanity's potential for resistance, shifted their strategy to crush the rebellion before it could spread further. The retaliation was swift. Alien warships began launching devastating orbital strikes on Earth's major cities. New York, Paris, Tokyo, all were hit in rapid succession, their infrastructure crumbling under the weight of the Xyluri's overwhelming firepower. Thousands of lives were lost in an instant. For a brief moment, it seemed as though the invaders might succeed in their mission to break humanity's will through sheer devastation. But the human spirit, once awakened, refused to break. The Xyluri had made one critical mistake. They believed that a few orbital bombardments would bring Earth to its knees. What they had failed to consider was the unyielding tenacity of those fighting for their planet. What was once a ragtag group of scientists, soldiers, and ordinary civilians now became a well-coordinated global resistance. From the ashes of the first attacks, humanity rose. The loss of major cities, though devastating, galvanized people into action. Cities that had been reduced to rubble began rebuilding faster than the Xyluri could destroy them. The remnants of military forces across the globe merged into a unified front. New alliances formed, old rivalries were set aside, and the entire planet focused on one goal: to push the invaders off their home. In secret labs and makeshift bunkers, humanity's engineers and scientists continued to develop new weapons and countermeasures. The EMP pulse technology, which had been so crucial in the early strikes, was refined. Now they had weapons that could target the heart of the alien ships, disabling their shields and causing critical systems failures. The first successful strike on an alien ship had revealed weaknesses, loopholes in their seemingly impenetrable technology. Reyes's team, now a symbol of humanity's growing resistance, continued to train new recruits. Guerrilla tactics and unconventional warfare became the order of the day. Small, highly trained units infiltrated alien strongholds, disrupting communications and causing chaos within the alien ranks. The Xyluri's strategy of overwhelming firepower began to falter as they found themselves outmaneuvered by human ingenuity and determination. Even in the face of mounting losses, the human resistance continued to rally. A new generation of fighters emerged, inspired by the stories of ordinary citizens taking up arms against the invaders. Hackers took down alien drones with nothing but code. Engineers rigged together crude yet effective weapons from scavenged alien tech. And across the world, people shared resources, knowledge, and strategies, creating a network that stretched from the Arctic to the Amazon. The global fight now had a clear objective: to drive the Xyluri from Earth. And humanity wasn't just fighting for survival. They were fighting to reclaim their home, their culture, and their future. One of the most crucial turning points came when Dr. Clark's team managed to crack a key piece of alien encryption that revealed the Xyluri's strategic plans. They discovered the location of a hidden fleet, an armada of advanced ships poised to crush any remaining human resistance. This fleet, located in the outer reaches of the solar system, was the key to ending the conflict once and for all. But getting to it would be a perilous mission. The discovery ignited a firestorm of planning. A daring attack on the Xyluri fleet became the centerpiece of humanity's strategy. It would require unprecedented coordination between space agencies, military forces, and civilian resistance fighters. The task seemed impossible, but it was the only way to secure victory. As preparations began for the most ambitious operation humanity had ever conceived, there was no turning back. Earth had fought back once, but now it was preparing for its final stand. The alien fleet had made a critical error. They had given humanity the time it needed to adapt, to innovate, and most importantly, to fight back. And humanity was ready. The months that followed humanity's initial victories marked the beginning of a new phase in the war. The Xyluri, once so confident in their overwhelming superiority, were now facing the reality of a planet that refused to bow. Earth's resistance had grown from fragmented pockets of survivalists into a well-organized force capable of matching the aliens in strategy and innovation. Every day, humanity's resolve hardened like steel forged in fire. But as the human resistance geared up for the ultimate strike on the Xylary's hidden fleet, the reality of the situation weighed heavily on their minds. The stakes had never been higher. If they failed, the alien invaders would likely turn their full might on Earth, eradicating the last vestiges of humanity's defiance. But if they succeeded, the war would be over, and Earth would have won. Dr. Naomi Clark, still at the heart of the scientific push to crack the Xylary's defenses, found herself racing against time. The clock was ticking, and with every hour that passed, the alien fleet drew closer to full operational readiness. They had to act before the Xylary could deploy their new weapons, some of which, from intercepted intel, were rumored to be capable of annihilating entire continents. Captain Marcus Reyes, now a legend in the eyes of Earth's defenders, stood on the command deck of the flagship of the human resistance, an old military transport ship retrofitted with new technology. The ship, now called Horizon, was a symbol of humanity's grit and ingenuity. The crew was diverse: scientists, engineers, soldiers, civilians, each with a role to play in the upcoming battle. Reyes surveyed the team around him. This wasn't just about military strength. It was about heart, about the belief that Earth's future was worth fighting for. "We all know what's at stake," Reyes addressed the crew, his voice resolute. "This is it. The Xylary have underestimated us from the start. They thought we would bend, that we would break under the pressure. But we're still here, and we're going to take the fight to them." The plan was set. A coordinated strike would target the alien fleet's flagship, the heart of their operations. Earth's most advanced ships would lead the assault, while a team of elite operatives would infiltrate and plant a devastating virus within the alien command system, disrupting their fleets and rendering their advanced weapons useless. It was a high-risk, all-or-nothing mission. Failure meant extinction. Across the globe, humanity was rallying behind this final effort. Spaceports were bustling with activity, as the largest fleet of human spacecraft ever assembled prepared to leave Earth's atmosphere. Engineers had worked day and night to build vessels capable of withstanding the Xylary's advanced weaponry. These ships were equipped with human ingenuity, hacked alien technology, newly designed energy shields, and weapons that were entirely unpredictable to the Xylary. The aliens might have superior numbers and technology, but humanity had something they couldn't quantify: adaptability. On the ground, the human resistance continued to carry out targeted sabotage missions, disrupting alien supply lines and communications. Civilians, though they had no formal training, became vital to the effort. From the rooftops of destroyed cities to the underground tunnels of once thriving metropolises, resistance cells moved with precision, attacking alien drones, hacking their surveillance, and sending coded messages to the fighters in space. As the fleet launched into space, heading for the Xylary's hidden armada, there was no turning back. Every ship, every soldier, every pilot knew the weight of what was about to happen. Families watched from their homes, their eyes filled with fear but also pride. The human race had been pushed to the brink of extinction, but it had refused to surrender. The battle in space was unlike anything humanity had ever known. The alien fleet was vast, and the Xylary were relentless. But the human ships, now equipped with their new weapons and battle-hardened by months of skirmishes, struck hard. Lasers cut through alien hulls, EMP waves disrupted their shields, and human pilots, despite being outnumbered, fought with unmatched ferocity. Knowing this was their one chance to change the course of history, Captain Rice's voice came over the comms. "This is our fight. For Earth. For our future. Let's end this." The space battle was chaos. The once sterile blackness of space now crackled with the sounds of combat, a cacophony of energy blasts and twisting metal as human and alien ships clashed in a brutal ballet of destruction. The fleet of humanity, united under a single banner of resistance, fought with an intensity born from desperation and defiance. Every ship, from the largest battleships to the smallest fighter crafts, was filled with fighters, pilots, engineers, and soldiers who knew that this was their one chance to reclaim Earth or perish in the attempt. Captain Marcus Reyes stood at the helm of the Horizon, his eyes glued to the viewport as the alien ships loomed larger, their sleek, terrifying forms cutting through the dark expanse like predators hunting their prey. "Hold your positions." Reyes's voice rang out through the ship's intercom, steady and unyielding. "We've come this far. We won't let them take our home." The plan was clear, but perilous. Infiltrate the heart of the Tylari Armada, disable their flagship, and plant the virus that would cripple their fleet. The virus, a sophisticated piece of code designed by Dr. Naomi Clark, was humanity's last hope. It would infect the central command systems of the Tylari, shutting down their fleet's coordination and neutralizing their advanced weaponry. But getting to the flagship wouldn't be easy. It was surrounded by layers of enemy defenses, the Tylari's most powerful ships standing in the way. As the fleet pressed on, a wave of Tylari warships moved to intercept them, their energy weapons firing with precision. The first salvo hit a human vessel, sending it spiraling out of control as its shields buckled under the attack. The crew aboard the Horizon winced at the sight, but there was no time for grief. Each moment brought them closer to the enemy's heart, closer to a final confrontation that would determine the future of humanity. "Deploying defensive shields," shouted Lieutenant Choi, the ship's tactical officer. The Horizon shuddered as its newly developed energy shields flared to life, absorbing the brunt of the alien fire. Despite the Resistance's technological advancements, the Tylari were still formidable. Their ships were faster, stronger, and more efficient. Yet what they lacked was the unpredictability and the resolve that humanity had displayed since the beginning of the conflict. In the heart of the battle, Dr. Clark and her team worked frantically in the ship's command center. Their objective was to breach the alien flagship's communication system from within. Using the virus they had planted on one of the smaller alien vessels, they had created a backdoor that would allow them to access the flagship's network. If they could inject the virus into the core system, it would spread through the entire auxiliary fleet, triggering chaos among their forces. But time was running out. The flagship, an immense behemoth of technology, hovered in the center of the auxiliary formation, its hull gleaming with destructive potential. If they couldn't infiltrate it soon, the fleet would be annihilated before they even had a chance to strike. Every second felt like an eternity. "We're in," shouted Dr. Clark, her voice a mix of relief and exhilaration. The countdown began. Within moments, the virus would begin its work. As the virus spread, the first signs of the Tylari's vulnerability became apparent. Their communications faltered. The once coordinated movements of their fleet turned erratic. Ships that had been working in perfect syncs suddenly veered off course, colliding with each other in a chaotic mess of explosions and debris. The Tylari flagship, its systems failing, let out a blinding pulse of energy. It tried to retaliate, but its weapon systems were useless. Humanity's virus had done its work. The alien fleet was crippled. But the victory was bittersweet. The flagship wasn't destroyed. It was disabled, drifting in space, its crew scrambling to regain control. The remaining Tylari forces, though in disarray, were still formidable. They regrouped, preparing for a last-ditch counterattack. "This isn't over yet," Captain Rice said, his voice firm. "We need to finish this now." With the flagship neutralized and the Tylari fleet in disarray, humanity's fleet surged forward, pressing their advantage. The time had come to deliver the final blow, to end the war once and for all. But even in their darkest hour, the Tylari had one final weapon, an ace they were willing to risk, knowing it could mean their last chance to win. The chaos in space was overwhelming. The Tylari fleet, once a well-oiled machine of destruction, had descended into disarray. Their ships were colliding, their weapons were misfiring, and their once dominant position was now in jeopardy. But even with the virus crippling their systems, the Tylari were not a species to give up easily. They had one last weapon, a desperate measure they had hoped to avoid using, an experimental device that could obliterate entire fleets in a single devastating blast. Captain Marcus Rice's heart pounded as the Horizon rocketed through the battlefield, dodging blasts from Xylari warships that were still operating at a fraction of their former strength. The human fleet had the upper hand, but the Xylari weren't going to let Earth off easily. Their flagship, though disabled, was still alive, its alien crew scrambling to initiate their last resort. The Worldbreaker, a planet-destroying weapon powerful enough to turn Earth into a lifeless rock. "We don't have much time," Rice said, his voice cold as he stared at the flashing alerts on the control panel. "If that weapon gets fired, we're all finished." On the horizon, the crew was preparing for the final push. Dr. Naomi Clark, still at the command center, was coordinating with the remaining forces to disable the Xylari flagship once and for all. The virus had caused widespread confusion in their systems, but the Worldbreaker was still functional, an ominous fact that hung over every decision being made. "This is it," Clark said, her voice resolute. "If we can't get aboard that ship and shut down the weapons core, the Xylari will win. And Earth won't survive." Reyes gave a sharp nod. "We've come too far to let it end now." The human fleet advanced, its fighters darting through the wreckage of the alien fleet, engaging in fierce dogfights with the remnants of the Xylari forces. The Xylari, despite their technological edge, were struggling to respond. They had no central command anymore. Their fleets were acting independently, and their communication systems were in shambles. But the Worldbreaker was still operational, and if the Xylari could use it before it was shut down, Earth would be lost. As the Horizon and its escort ships maneuvered toward the flagship, a chilling sight appeared on the monitors. The Xylari flagship's massive energy cannon began to glow ominously. The Worldbreaker was charging. Earth's final moment was rapidly approaching. "We need to board now," Rice shouted, his voice filled with urgency. "Get to the breach point. We'll disable it from the inside." With precise coordination, Rice and his team, led by him and Dr. Clark, prepared to board the enemy vessel. They had developed a special boarding craft that could penetrate the damaged hull of the flagship and allow them to infiltrate its core. Time was running out. As the Worldbreaker continued to charge, the human fleet launched a full assault, hoping to buy the boarding team enough time to disable the weapon. "Reyes, we've got incoming," shouted Lieutenant Choi, his voice tense as he observed the unfolding battle. The remaining Xylari ships were making a last-ditch effort to stop humanity from reaching the flagship, but the resistance fighters, fueled by a raw primal determination, were not about to let their world fall. The boarding craft shot forward, piercing the weakened hull of the Xylari flagship. Inside, the team moved swiftly, cutting through the alien corridors with their newly modified weapons. Their goal was simple: find and destroy the control systems of the Worldbreaker. They could hear the hum of the weapon's power building as they navigated the ship's labyrinthine passages, each turn bringing them closer to the heart of the weapon. "Almost there," Clark said, her voice focused. The ship trembled as the battle raged on outside. The fate of Earth rested on their shoulders. Finally, they reached the core. There, in the heart of the Xylari ship, was the Worldbreaker, a massive, glowing engine of destruction. It pulsed with unimaginable power. Rice and Clark wasted no time. They planted the explosive charges that would cripple the weapon, but even as they did, the Xylari forces outside were closing in. The countdown had begun. Rice's voice was steady, but urgent. "Charges set. We're getting out of here."